Uh, yeah, thanks for the intro, John. Who am I? It's a good question, you know. As we all go through phases of who are we in our lives. And when we're kids, your parents might have said to you, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or your parents, family members or friends or something like that. And then when you're a teenager, you're trying to figure out your schooling and where you're going to go. I remember thinking in high school, I have no clue what I want to do. And so they made me fill out one of those kind of forms, and it showed for me to be an astronaut, which made no sense to me. That was like way too far out there for me. And then in our early 20s, late teens, we finally move on to some kind of education. Could be college, could be university, or maybe you do something else where you go straight to work. And then you have got this identity and you just feel like, okay, this is it. I've got it. And there's an excitement there because I don't know if you remember, but in your 20s, you first go out to a cafe together and suddenly you see a live musician and you're like, wow, this is what it's like to be an adult. And so everything becomes exciting and you hike up your first mountain or you go and explore different lakes or you go camping on your own or something happens in your life. There's all these new moments in your life in your 20s and that becomes your identity. And then in your 30s, you start to think, is this what life is all about? Because you start to get stressed about the work environment. Your bosses are telling you certain things, certain people are misbehaving, they're abusing you at work. I've had plenty of abuse at work. And I mean, it was endless 30 years of abuse, literally, like just nonstop abuse. And also being a woman was difficult. I would have men making comments about sexuality towards me, like hinting things about me. And so if I was making a statement that was useful for the company when I'm talking with the engineering team or the senior management team, and I'm telling them what they need to do because I had to direct them. Then next thing you know, someone says some stupid remark about me being a woman. And I had to, over time, just not let that bother me. And even though it did, I had to pretend it didn't bother me. I had to act in a certain way in the corporate world. And that was my identity. And I became very strong, very powerful. I learned some things. I became a leader. I wasn't afraid to speak in front of crowds of 200 people. But I was terrified when I first started out in a boardroom of just 8 people. I was shaking. And I remember when I first had to speak in front of 100 people, my kneecaps were shaking. The jeans were like moving back and forth like this. And every year I kept thinking in the corporate world, okay, now it's going to get better. Just once we implement these things, then the workload will get less. We won't have to do so much. I was in health and safety, but I was also in environmental health and safety. So I got hired as an environmental consult. Well, initially as an environmental consultant. So I did environmental consulting. I graduated from geography and music. And back then, geography was what you did to be an environmentalist. There wasn't environmental studies at the time. And so I became this environmental consultant, but all we were doing is looking for contamination at gas stations and Canadian Tire and like all these different places. And all I could think of is the moment I was not working was contamination in my mind. And there's an oil spot here, and there's an oil. And I love nature. The whole reason why I took geography was because I loved nature. So the real me was someone who loved being in nature. And next thing you know, I got asked to do safety in the industrial corporation automotive manufacturing. It's a huge part of Magna. Magna it's got, I don't know, by now I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people they have, but quite a bit around the world. And safety got pushed upon me. But the blessing in disguise was it taught me how to become a leader and to be bullied and to be able to direct 1,000 people, basically. So that became my identity. And each time the head office kept coming up with new incentives, new programs that they wanted to implement. Just when you finish this one program, you got to implement another one. And so as our company grew from 300 to 1,000 people, I kept being the one who had to take care of it all. And they were giving me such a hard time with actually getting help that I needed helpers. And they weren't increasing my salary very much over the years. By the time I left, I was making 95,000 Canadian, but really I should have been making 300,000. So I was a director with a supervisor title, and the supervisor title wasn't even making the right amount. So it became something where I just felt like, wow, I became one of those people when I reached 50 saying, oh, wait till retirement. Then you get to do what you want. Wait till you're 65. Then you get to do what you want. And all along that time, for 20 years, I had been doing on the side, I'd been teaching Reiki. If you don't know what that is, it's an energy healing technique, um, and helping people to just, be stress-free. And so I started to also do healings on people. And so I would do that like on a weekend or sometimes a weeknight, and then I would have meetup groups, and then I started sharing my spiritual side of things to the people at the meetup groups. And so I started coming out and as the weirdo, as the spiritual weirdo. But it needed my leadership abilities, and this is what it needed. It needed me to experience the bullying in the workplace so much so that I didn't care anymore what people thought. So that was the thing. And at 50, John has mentioned that I had this breakdown. So at 50, it was interesting. The year before, I said to myself, okay, if I get that 20-year reward and things haven't changed in the company, I quit. And it wasn't a 20-year, I had actually been there 21 years. They didn't acknowledge the first year because the first year I worked for free. And um, so I forgot that statement I made to myself a year prior. So I turned 50, I get this award, and nothing had changed. All they wanted was more from me, more from me, more from me, like blood, sweat, and tears. They ended up replacing me with 4 people. So the amount of work that I was capable of doing was beyond normal. And so when 50 came, I got the reward. 2 days later, I woke up hyperventilating. And I knew as a health and safety specialist that you need to go see a doctor if you're doing something like that. You need to get help. And so I went to the doctor and I said, look, I'm not going to take medication. I want to heal the natural way. And I'm stressed. So I need time off work. So they gave me 3 months off work. And during that time, I saw 2 therapists. And I said, look, I actually want to live a new dream. I want to have a new type of thing. I want to help people around the world. I want to help them. Well, actually, I wasn't thinking around the world at the time. I was just thinking locally. I want to help people heal and to help them live better lives. And so they helped me to determine whether that was the right thing for me. So they were very useful because they wanted me not to make that decision because I had the breakdown. They wanted me to make that decision because that was a drive inside of me. And so at 50, I got to know myself again. And when I came back 3 months later, I gave in my resignation. And 2 weeks after my resignation, the Launch You ad came up, except it was called another company name, SFM. So the ad popped up and it was talking about, the people living this great life, living their freedom. And it was the two young Australian kids who were doing the ad. And I was thinking, wow, I want to learn about it. And so I watched the videos, and what intrigued me was the marketing, understanding how can you have an online business. And so I love to learn, and that was why I joined. I joined because I thought I'm going to learn actually how do you have a business. And so I'm one of those people who's very studious and very obedient and studies everything like you can imagine. That's why I excelled at what I did and why I could do a job of four people. And so through that journey, I then took coaching certification. I became an international certified coach. And then as I started to help people, this is when this company decided, wow, she's amazing. We need her to coach our people. And so there was a level in the company where there were people who had signed up to a high program. So they got coaching in whatever they wanted. It didn't even have to be business. It could just be, their own well-being. And so I was doing that. And I was also doing coaching for the branding portion of the team. So helping people come up with their brand. And while I built my business. And so we're coming to an ending here of who I am. I had to reconfigure myself. And one thing that I learned about developing a business is having your business is your best therapist, because your therapist is the one, your business, who teaches you what you're afraid of, what are you holding back on, what are you self-sabotaging in, what stories are you telling yourself. These are key things that make you successful or not. You might be thinking, oh, I'm so tired. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I can't put myself out there. I want to do things behind the scenes and just make money. And so if you can confront all those things about yourself, then you can be a success. And so one thing that was happening to me that I'm going to share for you is I was writing my book. And as I was writing my book, I started to get overwhelmed. I was, and I started to feel that feeling when you feel overwhelmed, where you just feel like not doing anything. You avoid working on your business, and you find excuses for being busy to do something, and you're going to get to that another time. And so I said to myself, Genevieve, you need to acknowledge what's going on inside of you. You need to acknowledge the overwhelm and ask what it means. So I did. I asked myself, what does this overwhelm mean? And I had to dig deep. It was so on the unconscious that I couldn't even find it. Because I had these stories and these excuses about overwhelm. And so when I asked myself, I found out that if I become so successful, I will be afraid of not being able to handle everything. And so I'll be feeling the same situation I felt in the workplace, in the corporate world, where no one's helping me and I'm having to do everything myself. And so I said, okay, that is a valid fear. So what are you going to do about it? How would you handle that situation if you do become highly successful? And so I thought about it, and I thought, well, I would hire a coach who has done this before, who would know, how do you hire a team? How do you handle this? How can you do it successfully so you won't be overwhelmed? And as soon as I had that solution, the stress completely went away, the overwhelm, and I was able to stay focused on my business. So the one thing that I'm coming here for is to share this story, but to share with you that the the only thing that stops you from having a successful business is you. It's your fears, your unconscious stuff There's a lot of unconscious fears that we have. And studies have shown that we have cellular memory that is stored in our body, and it is our body that's being terrified of something. And so your body makes you make up stories so that you can stay safe. We have no idea how terrified our body is. And it could be from situations that have happened in the past. Maybe a boss said something to you, could have been something when you were younger. It doesn't matter. You don't need to find out what happened. What you need to do is acknowledge what's really going on. What am I afraid of? And to acknowledge it and to find a solution for it rather than suppressing it and telling yourself, oh, you shouldn't feel that way. Because your body is the one that says, are you kidding me? You are unsafe. You telling me not to feel that way won't do anything for me. And so that behavior will continue happening. And I think everyone, let's just say mostly everyone, can have a business. They can succeed. I make this joke that you could have a multi-six-figure business just on helping people to love how their hand looks as they age. you know, Something so simple. It doesn't matter what it is. You will find people out of the billions of people out there who are interested in this God old, loving of this wrinkly hand. So I just wanted to kind of share. It's not really about me, it's about you, why I'm here. And it's about helping you to understand that your identity has been made up of all those things in the past. But who are you truly? Who is that kid inside of you? What did that kid want? That kid in me always went towards wanting to be kind to people and helping people. Always. I was a shy little girl, but that doesn't mean that I'm not capable of being a leader. I just had to learn how to be one. So who are you? What what is it in you that you love to do? Rather than thinking, how can I make money? Because how can I make money will not lead you to success. Because you are ignoring all those important aspects of yourself that will have fears and who has passions. Your business is about your passion. And some of you may have forgotten what that is. And so it's imperative that you spend time figuring out who is this? Who is this person I am? What passion do I have? And if you say, I don't have any passions, you can tell yourself, you know what? I know you feel that way, but it's not true. There's something there that you're passionate about. And if you think inside of yourself, I can't have a business on my passion, then there's a part of you that's afraid. Because there are always people out there who are interested in this passion of yours. Guaranteed. You can find people who are interested in this part of you. So, John, that's kind of what I wanted to share about this, the story behind me. Because the story is what has held me back over the years, the fear and the cultural conditioning of behaving in a certain way and following the rules and doing all these things and not understanding that I could be something more and I could step into that powerful part of who we are. You have to think about this. Your business is not about you. It's about helping people. It's about helping people. It's not about making money. It's about helping people. You will make money when you help people because those people will be interested. So I'm kind of here to share with you that if you think you can't or things are not going right in your business, don't tell yourself that they can't get right. And don't tell yourself that they can only get right by learning all the tech, by, following all the rules. Instead, tell yourself, who is it that I have been ignoring out of everything in this business? If you haven't figured out your passion yet, stop and go back to it. Figure it out. This business that I created was based on the Launch You framework, which was the SFM framework. It was a new framework that they had come up with. And it was all about figuring out what is it that people want. And so I interviewed my clients who were my customers through the Reiki and through other teachings I did and healings. And I asked them, what is it that, what is their wake up in the morning problem? What's what's their dream in life? What's stopping them from living this dream? And so I got this huge list of all these things. And to my surprise, it was different than what I thought. And in that, that's how I created my book. And to help people to solve those problems that they were telling me about. And so you can really discover so much about your clients in this same way. And I really believe that if you can kind of let go of the concept of, I just want to find a way to make money online where I don't have to do much, try to think again. Because when you do your passion, then that's all you want to do. You can't wait to get up in the morning and do the next task with your business. So I did enough talking now, but I just wanted to kind of see if you guys can all, message, share what do you get out of this? What is it something inside of you that can change, right? To make your business a success.
Yeah, Genevieve, I'd really thank you very much for your honesty and vulnerability there. Yeah. I was hoping to actually ask you one or two questions
Absolutely.
that might be useful to the people that are here and that will be watching the recording, and then we can get into questions from attendees if that's okay with you.
Absolutely. I
You,
was just on
you,
a, stream of
yeah,
consciousness.
yes, yes, and that's all good. Thank you, and thank you for that. You've helped many people change their work and lives. I mean, you helped me a few years ago, get clear on who I was talking to and how to connect with them. So what does the turning point look like when somebody finally decides to build something of their own?
The turning point is when you listen to what everyone's needs are and you think, wow, that's it. That's it. So there's a feeling inside of you that says, that's it. That's what I want to do for people. That's what I want to do. The thing about being an affiliate, let's just say some people that come in here want to be an affiliate for Launch You. And I think that's great. The one thing that I do caution people about is, are you being an affiliate because you like the excitement of making money on the side without having to do much? That's the caution, because when people do that, then they don't succeed. If you want to be an affiliate because you're thinking, wow, like I just want to help free people from living a kind of life they don't want to live. I know that there's so many people out there who can have a business of their own, who can discover their passions, who can really share their voice out into the world. I can't wait to do that. That's when I say, that's that feeling that I'm talking about. So the turning point is that excitement that you feel like, yes, I want to do that. I can't wait to do that.
So you know people in our community very well. So what is it that you see most often with people who are clearly capable but still not moving forward, Genevieve? What honest conversation do they need to have with themselves?
I think that the underlining feeling is a fear that they are enough. The feeling like, oh well, who am I to be on like, the spokesperson for my business? Who am I? Like I'm not, I'm just a little me kind of person. Who am I to be this? I felt that actually about impacting. I had this feeling inside of me that I'm supposed to impact millions of people. And the first thought I had was, who am I to do that? And since then, I have impacted millions. And so, who are you? That's something inside of you to realize that. Ask yourself this question. If you have kids or don't have kids, it doesn't matter. If you don't have kids, imagine that you did have kids. And if your kid came to you and said, Mommy, Daddy, I want to be an astronaut. I really want to be. And you said, I'm sorry, son, daughter, you can't be that. That makes no sense. You can't. Or would you say, you can do it? I know you can. I know you can. Right? Or I want to be a musician, or I want to be an artist, or I want to be an IT person. Would you say, and then the IT person said, the kid says, but there's so many out there who are doing IT. You wouldn't say, well, you're just a small thing, you can't do this. You would say, you're going to find a way, and I know you can do it. So treat yourself the same way that you would treat your kid.
Okay, okay. And one of our members asked me to raise this one, Genevieve. You've seen people move forward quickly once they find their niche. So why does that kind of clarity unlock everything else? And how do you help someone actually find their niche?
Okay, can you say the beginning part again?
Yeah. Yeah, this is, I mean, you've almost covered this, but one
Yeah.
of our members asked me to ask you, you've seen people move forward quickly once they find their niche. Okay. So why does that kind of clarity unlock everything else? And how do you help someone find their niche?
Because the niche is not just who you're serving. It's not just about what your business will be revolving around. It's about your passion. So the people who get locked in and are able to move forward then is because they locked into their passion, right? So if someone's like, there's an example of someone who she's a dancer in the community and she's taught people dance and uh, her passion, she just got locked in and she's making her steps towards creating this online business. She did it locally, but now she's found the niche of how she can help them online. And so she's passionate about it, as an example. Owen's a good example too here. He's here today, and he's a good example of his, that bike package that no, not bike runners, the package for runners. And he's very passionate about it. And so he just went, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go in front of people. I'm going to share it with people. So it's that you've got to it can't be just a concept. It's got to be something that's linked to something that excites you as a person.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it is. I mean, I think there was a line in Maverick, the newer Top Gun film, and Tom Cruise is being chewed out by his boss, and he said, "It's not what I do, it's who I am." So this is what we're talking about, isn't it? So, the business that aligns with our values, with our aspirations, with our goals for the lifestyle that we're not quite yet living. So
Exactly.
look, you've made the move yourself from employee to building your own online business. What surprised you most, especially when it came to marketing and sales, Genevieve?
So you want to know what surprised me about the marketing? Is that what you want to know?
Yeah. So you've come from employee, there's a
Yeah,
salary, you're being paid every
right.
month, right? And
Yeah,
you've made the move to your own business. You've now become wholly responsible for your own
yeah.
income, which which we generate through not the tech, that's the conduit through which we pass the communication, but it's all about the marketing and sales. So what did what did your insights on
Yeah,
yeah, marketing and sales,
I get
please.
it. So the marketing is the most important part of your business. You should be doing that. Once you figure out your niche and your offer and all that, then marketing becomes something that you have to do every day. Like, what a number that they give is like spending 40% of your time on your business on marketing. Mm. Because people need to know about you, and they need to be able to relate to what you do, what you offer, and they need to be able to trust you. They need to develop a connection with you. They don't just want to buy to a stranger. I remember salespeople would come into my office in the automotive, and he came in and he starts like talking all these sales. He's just like pushing sales at me, and then I said, "Hey, hang on! Like I'm not interested in anything you're offering if you're just going to talk to me that way." And I did that same on the phone. I would just cut them off and I say, "Look," and they grew from that. So marketing is like the thing. And there's a difference between marketing and sales. It's another thing that I learned is marketing is for marketing, for educating, for informing people, for building a trust relationship and all that kind of stuff. And sales is, making sales and having totally different types of discussions during a sale.
Yeah, I think of marketing as a monologue and sales as a dialogue. With marketing, we have to understand who it is that we're appealing to, we're helping, and preempt their objections and understand their pains and their desires and so forth. And we have to communicate that effectively in order to build the trust and the
You know what,
authority and the
though, John?
liking.
The marketing, though, if you can think of it not as a monologue, but think of it as though, let's just say when I do my Instagram post, what I do when I do my Insta, before I do it, I say, what does the world need to hear? So I literally just all of a sudden I get an instinct, talk about this. And so when I do a reel, as an example, I'm imagining that they're right here with me and I'm having a conversation with them rather than that I'm trying to tell them something. And so I'm trying to evoke something where they feel like I just included them. And then, and the more, and you notice too, there are days where it's like crickets, and then other days where you get responses. And so those are your off days when you do the cricket thing because you're not perfect. So I learned from that. That's the thing is they teach me things too and how they're responding. And how can you make it so that it feels like a conversation, even though you're not really talking to someone. But I just wanted to kind of give that thought.
Mm, yes, yeah, thank you. So that you've experienced both sides, building your own business alone and coaching people inside the structured the Accelerate programs. For someone wondering if they really need support, what's the difference? What's the honest difference between doing it alone and doing it with support and coaches?
Me personally, I would never do it alone, like never, because there's so many reasons. Like I even hired a business coach outside of LaunchU. I invested a crazy load of money on a business coach as well. Um, when you do something on your no own, you can't know all like let's just say if you're veering in a direction that actually won't be the right direction, You can't know that you're veering in that direction. You can't know when you're not doing something right because you're just trying to figure it out on your own. So it can be challenging. What you can do, though, is if, let's just say, if you can't afford to have coaching, then you should team up with someone else and team up with someone else who you feel is committed, who will work hard, who will want to be focused, accountable, and so forth. Like I said, I did the coaching, but I also teamed up with someone. And to this day, we meet every week and talk about our businesses. So or our mindsets, even that, to see how we can improve. And we are always focused. It's an hour long. We say, okay, what did you do during the week? We talk about it, and then we make contribution about it. And what did you do? We've been doing this for, I think, 6 years now, every week. So it's amazing. He's in Austria, and yeah, it's a great experience.
And look, this one is direct to the person sitting on the fence. Okay, imagine someone is watching this or the recording, and they really want to take the first step, but fear keeps stopping them. What would you say to that person right now, Genevieve?
You need to find out what your fear is about, and you need to acknowledge it, not push it aside. And ask it, what is the solution to address this fear? The big mistake that people make is trying to push aside their fear and telling themselves it's stupid. You need to acknowledge it and basically provide a solution because your body is afraid and it needs a solution. And once it's heard and a solution is given, then something can be solved. The other thing is, if people have money or a way of making or getting money, as an example, and are considering investing, then I wouldn't hesitate because investing, as long as there's a caveat though, you have to be willing to do the work. You have to put in the hours. And so when you invest, you want to damn well make sure you put in the hours because otherwise you will lose your money. So you want to invest and be able to have the help that you need to be able to move forward and make great change. And if I hadn't invested in not only Launch You, but also the business coaching, that I needed both. If I had not, there's no way, no, absolutely 100%, no way I would be where I am today. No way. I might have invested $100,000, okay? Like I'm talking big money here. But I've made multiple six figures, and I'm getting people asking me to, to fly somewhere to be on their show. So investing is hugely successful. Yes, it may cost a lot of money, but if you have the means for the money, you're not gonna be worrying about paying for your food and your other expenses, then do it. But if you have situations where you have to worry about the bills, then consider one thing. Consider the possibility of doing another job instead of the job you're doing that gives you a higher salary. Or consider doing consulting where you can make a much higher hourly wage than you ever could working for someone in a corporation.
Yeah, so it's not a cost, it's an investment, isn't it? And look, you've spoken about people needing to discover who they really are beneath their job title and career history and conditioning. For someone who has spent 20 or 30 years defined by their role, where do they begin? Where do they begin to discover who they really are?
By taking time out for themselves, right? Like doing things that make themselves feel good. Discovering what nurturing yourself really means again, rather than keeping busy, being busy all the time, keeping busy with family members and taking care of family members or certain tasks, find some time for yourself. And when you do, you realize, wow, I really like doing that. That's fun. I haven't done that since I was young. And so when you start to do those things, then you start to remember things that you were passionate about before.
Okay, well, look, Genevieve, that was brilliant. It was exactly what I hoped for and more. So thank you very much. Let's open this up to questions. I can see Mitch in the chat. There's a whole bunch of commentary in there. I've not had an opportunity to look in there myself. Are there
I'll do
questions
my
coming up
best,
for
John.
Genevieve?
I've got questions coming up, but the easiest, they're long questions. So I'm going to call out people, and if they'd be so kind to just re-say it to Genevieve. Lisa Beauchamp is the first one. Um, is Lisa still around? Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa, do you want to jump out and ask your question to Genevieve?
Yes, yes. So I will ask. Sorry, I'm just not feeling 100% at the moment. That's why I'm not on camera. But
All
thank
right.
you, Genevieve. I've absolutely loved everything that you're talking about. And you talked about the overwhelm that you had anticipated, which was associated with your success, your forthcoming success. And now you've completed your book. What does that success now look like? And what are your goals moving forward? Are you looking to write another book? So sort of having achieved the goal of writing the book and the success, how do you move forwards? How do you still stay motivated and the forward planning? Where are you in all of this now?
Thank you. So where I am is so what happened was I wrote the book, and while I was writing the book, I was doing one-on-one coaching for my clients. And I was doing it based on the teachings of my book as I was writing it. And then slowly that moved into group coaching. And I was taking people through the teachings of my book in group coaching. I created videos out of it and so forth. So they had a platform to go into. And now I am getting so busy that I'm now re-recording the recordings because they were during the COVID days and my hair looks stupid and whatever. And I've learned a lot too about the understanding of the clients and the questions they have. So I've done multiple group 6-month programs with these people. And I also took a group on a retreat afterwards. And now what's happening is I'm doing my last group cohort, and then I've already got a new coach who will now be doing the coaching in the next time round for the next group that happens. And I also published oracle cards. So I created, you can see my oracle cards. I've got that. So the book is Heal the Goddess Within, Heal and Awaken the Goddess Within. And the the when I was writing it, almost when I was done, like halfway through, I got the guidance that I'm supposed to create the companion oracle cards for the book. So Heal and Awaken the Goddess Within, same title. And at that time, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I just wanted a break. But I just said, okay, I'm going to trust whatever, I'm going to do it. And I just recently published those, and those are now available around the world. And then I received 3 more book ideas. So I'm supposed to focus on the book ideas and hold more retreats. So focus on retreats, book ideas, and allow the other people to do the group coaching now. So I have also people interested in translating my book and also translating this program into another language, Portuguese and Spanish. So there's a lot of interest in that. And then what I want to do, um, it's challenging for me because I need time to be able to write my book. And so I'm going to be doing that. And also what my next focus is to go on more podcasts and to make myself known. I still haven't done paid ads for this. Um, and it's something I might consider in the future. Does that help you?
That's amazing. Congratulations. That's just incredible. Absolutely incredible. And did you self-publish the books?
I did. I self-published on Amazon. And
Right.
I've been in multiple six-figure business. So it's been a success, which is great, right?
Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah.
Genevieve, can you type the titles into the chat? You say if somebody's interested and they go, hang on, I want to have a further look at this thing. And
Yeah.
then
Well,
and then
you can see it, but sorry, I just have automation. That's my website. So you see my cards and my book from my
brilliant.
website. It's just easier that way.
Great. I'm just going to copy that so I can put it in the follow-up email so people can jump in there.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks.
But it's
One
really
second.
exciting. My Oracle cards just took off and they're making great sales in the US already. And they've already made it to the bestseller list for new releases. So that's exciting. My book is making a sale a day on its own now. So when I have a podcast, I'll get like 180 sales in the month. And then usually it trickles down, trickles down, trickles down, and I don't get that many sales. Like 4 or 5 months later, I might get 6 sales. But now it's actually much better. I'm getting a sale a day. So I'm getting like 30 sales when I'm not doing anything. So now the word is starting to spread. So now the statistics is shifting. So now people are telling other people about it. And I'm getting messages about people telling other people and telling them that to get the book and so forth.
Brilliant. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is Annette alive or live? I can't see Annette.
Yeah, I can see
Annette, I
Annette.
see you. I can
I
see Annette.
I
That's a
am.
long question. So, Annette, you say the long question.
Sorry for the long question. And sorry because I'm only starting this journey. So for those of you who have been around for a long time, this might be a very basic question for you all, but there's so much of what you've talked about that I can relate to in terms of your journey. I think right now I am in a place of I'm just trusting and hoping right now because my biggest fear is what happens if I don't find my passion? Like, I mean, I don't want to be one of those failures. I want to be very successful, and I recognize the importance of having the right motivation and finding your passion, and then you're not working, you're just loving life. And so what happens if that doesn't show up for me?
Right. And that's a common fear that you have is what if that doesn't show up for you? It will show up for you. You just need the right questions to be shared with you. So some questions to think about is when you're let's just say you get invited to a party and there's like 60 people there or 50 people in someone's home. And you're mingling around. There's always like three people here, three people there, and so forth. And you're listening to their conversations. And there's some conversations where you're like, I'm not interested in this. I'm going far away from that conversation. And then there's other conversations where, wow, you just want to contribute. You can't help it. You just love talking about this kind of thing. That's something you're passionate about. I think people mistake passion for something where, like, I'm going to be this Olympic athlete and I'm going to win the gold medal, you know, for doing, I don't know, whatever. That's what people think passion is. But passion is something that you just love talking about. It's an interest, it's something that feeds your soul. You just can't, when you get together with your girlfriends, what kind of conversations do you love talking about? Think about that. There's always something that you enjoy talking about.
Mhm.
And, you know, so there's a theme when you're working in the corporate world and people came into your office and started talking to you about what's the common theme that they talk to you about? I
Mm.
had salespeople, often like men, who phoned me up. He said, Genevieve, are you available? They got to know me over the years, and I'm just driving by. And they come into my office and they start chatting about their life and trying to get help on their relationship and all this, like I'm a therapist. And then managers would come into my office, close the door, and they start sharing their problems about the other workers or the other managers. They were like 100% trusting me that I wouldn't be sharing this with
Mhm.
anyone. And so that was the theme, is that people came to help to get better in something. And so there's something, and I love doing it. I would stop my work, even though I was like overwhelmed with my work. But there's something in you that would love doing that. Let's just say if someone was passionate about IT stuff, and people would always come to them for help in IT. Or someone's passionate about finance and someone keeps asking them about how to have structure in finance and how to budget properly and all that. And they just love those kind of conversations. So everyone has passion, and it's just that it's so obvious to you that you might not even realize what it
Mm.
is. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what do you think you can do to try to reflect and discover that within you?
Well, it sounds like I've got a lot of work to do on digging deep. Um, very much like you, I find myself in my work world talking less about work and listening more to people on a personal level. And it's really interesting because those relationships are like work is kind of what the common theme is, but the relationship we have has nothing to do with work. So I think that
Yeah.
there's a helping people part of my journey that I'm going to be exploring.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And try not to doubt that you could make a business out of it either,
Well,
right?
that's the other part.
Yeah. So the thing is, you need to go to the experts who can help you make a business out of it, right?
Right,
Rather than you doubting that you can.
right.
You can. Absolutely, you can. If you have the drive, you can. That's all you need. You need the drive and you need to follow the steps to do those things and to stay consistent. And if you do that, you're going to be a success. And I think that another big mistake people make is that they think they can't be
Hmm.
make a business out of it, but they're not the experts in creating a business. So it's not their job to decide that they can't. Their job is to say I can and to say how. And to be honest with you, to question people who tell you that you can't, and to,
Hmm.
sometimes let's just say if it's a way out there idea and the idea wouldn't really have a very large audience, then what the coach should try to do is see how you can maybe broaden your niche so that you can get a bigger audience and still have that, address that passionate part of you. But if it's someone who's like out of the blue, some business coach who's like, you can't do that, don't question yourself, question the coach.
Yeah.
Because you can market anything, really.
Hmm.
There's always people out there who will be interested in something. And if you're already having conversations in that area, that means people are interested.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You okay, Annette?
Yeah, perfect.
Good job. Chakumeka, you've got a question. Might not be exactly up Genevieve's street, but Genevieve will decide that.
I'm a tech person too, so that's okay.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Unmute yourself. Just in the bottom left, Chakumeka, you've got a little
Yeah.
microphone. There you go. Now you're on.
It's okay now. It's okay now. Yeah. Thanks, Genevieve. Thanks,
Hello.
Mitch.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. I'm having a problem with tech overwhelm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how can I manage that?
I got a good answer for you. So when I first started with this company, like learning as a student, I saw there was a private Facebook group for the marketing section, and people were talking about the ads that they were doing, and they were talking about CTR and CTA and like all these acronyms. And I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I didn't know what they meant, and it felt overwhelming. And then I read a book called, what's it called? The Slight Edge, I think it's called. Um, and what it teaches is this. Instead of thinking about all the things that you have to do and be overwhelmed by it and how long it will take, instead, just take one small action every day, right? So, as an example, if you want to learn how to run a marathon, it will be impossible for you to run a marathon right away. What you need to do is take one small step by maybe walking around the block. Let's just say you're totally out of shape and you're like you can't. If you ran, I was there when I mean, I wasn't overweight, but I was out of shape. My heart was out of shape. And so in my 20s, and I literally had to walk around the block. And so you just walk around the block and then you do 3 blocks. And then next thing you know, you're going to do jogging and then running for 3 blocks. And then next thing you know, you're going to do a kilometer and then 2 kilometers and so forth. And so those are little mini wins. When it comes to thinking about, oh, I got to do a website, I got to learn marketing, I got to learn emails, I got to learn how to set up systems, I got to learn how to, maybe do sales and ads and all that kind of stuff. That's very overwhelming if you think that way. And instead, think, if I took one baby step at a time, where will I be a year from now? A year from now, you will have learned so much. You will have advanced yourself beyond belief. You will learn these acronyms that I didn't know. Like I had to do all of that myself too. I have done I've done everything for my business. I built my website, I've done the Instagram posts, I've done video editing, I've learned about sound, I've lighting, I mean I set up a whole background thing for another room for a studio. Um, I figured out how to run retreats and set that up and, arrange with travel. I've done my bookkeeping. I've done my corporate accounting. I've done all of that myself. I've created legal documents. I mean, if I would have thought, oh my God, I got to do all that, I would have stopped. I wouldn't have been able to do it. So the thing that you do is you give yourself permission to take your time and to be realistic and to say, you know what? I can't build, what's that saying? I can't build a something in a day, right? I can't build a stadium in a day. I can't build, right? It takes time to build something. And so it takes time to build your business. It takes time to have systems in place. And I'm still, now I'm working on this new system and having to transfer everything over to this new, everything takes time. And that is the big thing that can also hold us back from having a business, is that part. So just shift your thinking. Shift your thinking to thinking, you know what? 3 years from now, I'm going to be all set. This business is going to be up and running. I'm going to be, So when I was 50, I had the outlook that at 55, the business would be running. It would be doing well. I would have success and all that. I didn't have the thinking that I gotta, make a success by the time I'm 51. No, what I did instead was I worked for uh, SFM to make some money while I built my business, right? So I didn't think, oh, I gotta have that business. It's got to be successful. I got to make that 6 figure right away. And now I'm 50. How old am I?
38.
57, 56, 57 in June. So, and now it's a success. But you just have to have patience with yourself and be realistic. But stay consistent, stay focused, and you will make it. Does that help you?
It does. And my final question is, how am I going to deal with interact with the AI tool that we use?
When you
How
say
best to
how,
interact with it? Yeah, how best to interact with the AI tool that we use for. So with the help of Mitch, I was able to overcome the um, module 1 lesson 4 that I was talking. I'm going into 5 now. So I would want to know a better way to interact with the tool, if that's okay.
yeah, so I just want to know when you say how to better interact, do you mean like how to communicate, like what sentences to say or something like that? Or what do you mean?
Yeah, to bring out a question. If it's a question I'm not too sure about, can I ask probing question which I can get more a clarification from?
So the one thing that I do with AI, no matter what it is I tell it more about me. I tell it more about my desires, more about my passions, more about who I am as an individual. And then I'm going to, sometimes I might not even word a sentence in a certain format. It doesn't matter. I just say, look, I need answers to this specific thing. This is what I'm thinking of. Does this make sense? And so I kind of treat it like a person when I'm asking questions. When you're talking about a specific tool, I don't know which tool you're talking about.
The tool that we use for question and answer in the modules.
Okay, so you're talking about, because what happened is I don't know what part of the program you signed up for. Did you sign up for the group work or not? Or just
No,
the
I'm not
individual?
in the group yet.
So self-study, right?
Yes, I'm not in the group yet. Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Self-study.
AI tools, when you go into that, then it asks you to talk about the niche as an example, right? That part of that you're
Yeah.
talking about?
Yeah.
So
I'm done
basically,
with the niche. Okay.
yeah. So when you go through each step, you just basically answer the questions that they're asking. And if if you find that you're getting an answer, do you find that you get an answer that doesn't make sense? Is that what you're thinking or what?
No, no, a question that I didn't understand well, and I need clarification.
Then tell them that. Tell AI that. Can like say put it in baby words, please. Sometimes I say that. Put it in baby language, please. I don't understand. Okay? Or I say dumb it down. Dumb it down for someone like me so I can understand. So you can just keep kind of getting more clarity with it by talking back with it, you know?
Genevieve, if I may, I just wonder if one of the things I've learned with using the AI on the system is they ask you a question, give it a nice and interesting answer. Try and avoid saying yes or no. You understand what I'm saying? So if the AI asks you to fill something in, don't be afraid to put a paragraph. I might encourage you to put 2 or 3 paragraphs of information in. Then the AI's got something to work with. Because some of the folks I chat to, AI says, "What are you interested in?" And they say golf. And then I can imagine the AI kind of struggles and doesn't know what to say back. But if you, as Genevieve says, if you can talk to it like a person and give it a long and informed answer, perhaps that will steer you in another direction. Fix up what I'm saying, Genevieve. I'm a
That makes
newbie
totally
here.
sense. No, I love that because the example that you gave is perfect. Like if you just say golf, then there's so much that can be assumed with that. If you say, I love the perfect swing of golf, I love how people can really get that perfect swing. Golf could be clothing. I love golf clothing, you know?
Cars.
Right? It could be totally different, depends on what you're. So if you can figure out specifically, then it can really help you.
Thank you, Genevieve.
You're welcome.
Hey, I want to call out Owen Jones because I think he wants to be called out.
Hello there, John. Hello, Mitch. Genevieve. Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you again. Yeah, I just wanted to go back to something you were talking about earlier on, which is the difference between following your passion and looking to make money. And we had, it must be 4 or 5 months ago now, I guess, a really good conversation where I was struggling to make anything financially with my passion and looking to go another route to make money. And at the end of it, I very much went away and went, okay, forget the money bit, follow the passion. And I'd just like to reflect on that, because since then I've been out to events. I've done the National Running Show, which is a huge event in the UK with 30-odd thousand people coming along and talking to me about what I'm doing in my passion. I've had a YouTube influencer get in touch. I've got a podcast invite coming in and other stuff going on. And it's kind of a thank you to you, in a way, for saying, no, have a think about it. And actually, that's the route you want to go. And when you were saying earlier about you don't follow the money, but follow you yourself. If I'm kind of paraphrasing it badly.
Yeah. No, wonderfully.
It's starting to happen that regularly things are turning up. And I'm thinking, this
Wow.
can't carry on turning up. But it is happening that way.
Yeah.
And the more I get into it and the more I'm following this route, the more I'm feeling enthusiastic and passionate about it and enthused by it. And yeah, I think for people here, just reinforcing from that conversation that really does matter, and that you can trust it. And if your belief and your heart is in it, then oddly enough, good things start happening.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You know, it touches me so much what you just said, Owen. It's so beautiful. I think about you often too. And because my passion is that people live their passions. That's my passion. And that's why I think about you. And, you know, a good example of what you're talking about with the podcast is when you do these little steps and you do it you do it in alignment with what interests you, what really passionate for you, then you'd be surprised that suddenly someone sees you and invites you to this podcast. You know, like I went on a small podcast one time, and it was my first one actually. And from that podcast, the person who had a bigger podcast saw that and invited me to his show. And since then, he's invited me multiple times, and we text each other like we've become friends. And
Yeah.
one time off of his podcast, I made $180,000 in 2 months, right?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you never know. And that the thing is, I'm a strong believer in something divine that helps us. And when we follow this part of ourselves that really wants to make a difference in life, then we're going to attract this thing where other people will want to help us. But if we're in that zone of feeling like, I just want to make money, there's no distinct thing of why we want to make money. So
Yeah.
there's no real energetic drive to assist us to go in this direction, because the direction has got to be related to the heart and something that you really want for people. And when that happens, I mean, I spent like an hour today reading Jim Carrey. You know who he is, that famous actor?
Yeah, I know.
Canadian actor. I read his story. He happened to be born like 20 minutes away from me. And I read his story. His story was he quit school when he was 16. His parents were his family was homeless in his teen years. And he had to help by working at a factory from 6 p.m. till the morning time and then try to go to school. And then eventually he quit school. And then he had to go around and try to make himself known. And he never gave up. And it took him many, many years until finally he landed this movie in the States that just, took off for him. But that's the thing, Joan. It's really beautiful with you sharing your story. It's very touching.
Thank you. Oh,
Tony Robbins said something, Genevieve, on one of his podcasts the other day, and I'm not a big follower of Tony Robbins, but I've always been a little bit skeptical of that thing about, the world will reveal to you. I think I'm too left-brained. I think I've got too much of a different upbringing. But he did a funny thing in the podcast. He said, and you can do it now if you want to do it, and I will show you how powerful it is. Everybody look around the room that you're in and just think of everything that you can see that's blue. Just everybody do that. Look around the room. Think of everything that you can see is blue. Okay? You've got 2 or 3 or 5, 10 items in your head that's blue. Okay, now shut your eyes, and tell me everything in the room that was red. And I just thought that was brilliant. And it just cleared the way for me. If you go around looking at failure, looking at miserable, looking at it didn't work, you'll find them. You all had things with blue in them that you were ready to list off for me because you weren't looking for red. And when I said, "What's red in the room?" you're stumped. But now, if you look around the room, there's just as many red as blue. And for me, that's how it works. Once you get your mindset right and you go, right, I'm looking for red. And it's what Owen is saying in a different way. It's not some essence that's bringing Owen to where he's going. He's built the kit. He's trying to expand the kit. So he's seeing runners, he's seeing podcasts, he's seeing things. And suddenly the way is opening up for him because he's looking for, how do I expand my running business? Instead of what he might have been thinking is, well, how do I make any money? And that for me was such a turning point. And full stop, end of my outburst.
That's beautiful, and it is so true. Like you've got to put in the effort. You have to.
That's good enough to get a reaction out of Phil. How are you going,
Okay.
Phil?
I think we're kind of running out of questions.
And time, John. We've had
time.
Genevieve here for hours.
Yeah, and we're very grateful, Genevieve. Thank you very much for setting aside this time on a weekend for us, when it could be family time or something other. Yeah, we're immensely appreciative. Thank you. And we'll get the recording out to everybody. I'm glad Mitch actually remembers to hit the record button after we'd already begun.
Just 2 minutes in, sorry.
That's what it's like dealing with old people.
There's been occasions when John has said, "Have you got the recording?" And I go, yes, but we did record this one.
Okay, so it's brilliant. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, everybody, for being here. We'll be back again second Sunday of next month. Sounds like April already. Goodness me, the year's underway, isn't it? And keep on keeping on. You're going to sign off, Mitch?
No, I'm just going to thank Genevieve very much. You're amazing. Thank you so much for coming here, and just keep being amazing, because there's like this little light, and we're all running after that light. And so just keep it going. Keep it going. We need it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you. It's an honor to be here and to just help people, really. And you guys are doing great work. You've been passionate for years about wanting to help people, and you're sticking to it even through the COVID time, right? So good on you for doing what you're doing and recalibrating in the ways that you had to as well.
Have you got a final word or thought for the people that are, either here or watching, Genevieve?
I would say honor yourself, right? Honor yourself. There is this amazing spark inside of you. Treat yourself the way you treat your kids. See yourself in the way that you see your kids, and realize that you can bring something amazing into this world, every single one of you. You are no, there's a saying, I think it's Desiderata, that poem, you're no less than this. It's just, there's a beautiful poem, but basically, you're not less than. We're all equal, and we all have this amazing ability to make change in the world. So follow that spark, and have patience with yourself. Yes, it may take 3 years, but who cares? Who cares? And have fun.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, that's it, folks. Over and out. See you
Thanks so
next
much,
time.
Genevieve.